Welcome to the Comic Sauce Podcast, where we talk comics and comics culture. I am Henry Liu, and today I'm joined by Porfirio Rangel. Porfirio, how's it going?
I'm doing good, Henry. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays indeed. I'm also joined by Christian Diadamo. Christian, how goes?
Hey, it goes well. Happy holidays.
Indeed, indeed. Today is December 7th, 2023. It's almost a wrap on the year 2023. Can you believe it?
Dude, the year went by so fast.
I know. Insane. Yeah. Our next episode will probably be a year in review, which we love to do. So,
Mhm.
yeah, it's crazy. I can't believe like we're even going to have that conversation
I know,
already.
right? The
Yeah.
pandemic it feels like it's messed up our dates, so much.
Yeah. It's like, what is time?
Exactly.
I cannot grasp the concept anymore. But that's next time your interview. This time we're gonna talk about Fan Expo San Francisco. The three of us did attend this convention, which wrapped recently. Um, Kind of an interesting time of year for this convention. It started on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, and ran through Sunday that weekend. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We did attend all 3 days, and yeah, fairly new convention. This year was just the second year of Fan Expo San Francisco. And yeah, we're going to talk all about it. Kind of a free form conversation, no set format. So would love to get your guys' thoughts on Fan Expo. Yeah, anything top of mind you guys want to call out on this convention? Any thoughts? Christian, anything to bring up
Yeah.
off the
Um,
bat?
I think let's start off. Like one of the most impressive thing, I have this in front of me, is the guest list.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for
Really,
Yeah.
sure.
really, really good. That was like very impressive. The the talent that they got for for this convention. And I'll read a few names off here. We have Mark Hamill, Ewan McGregor, the Four Hobbits from the Lord of the Rings trilogy. We also have Alan Tudyk, William Shatner, Katie Sackhoff, and the list does keep going. There are also lots of voice actresses and actors there from like a lot of cartoons, anime, video games. One of the big ones, Solid Snake, David Hayter,
Mm-hmm.
and we also have Tara Strong, who played everybody.
Yeah,
So
basically.
great, yeah, great, great guest list overall. It does keep going. I could keep going from there.
Yeah.
Which
It's
had
like
which
it's like too
oh yeah.
many to name, right?
Mhm.
But yeah,
So
go
I
ahead.
made for a lot of fun panels. It was cool to see a lot of celebrity guest panels where people got to ask some burning questions, and you get some fun little behind the scenes stories. Like I think that was definitely a big highlight for me, as well as standing in line to get stuff signed.
Yeah.
The con experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I second that. The guest list was en fuego. Oh my God. I mean, leading up to this convention, it seemed like every week, every few days, there were just like a mind-blowing guest announcement, right? Um, Particularly because this is the second year, and I did attend last year's Fan Expo San Francisco, and that had a pretty cool guest list also, but nowhere near the caliber of this year's. It was it was a big time leveling up. And yeah, a little bit of background on Fan Expo. This is one of those conventions where, for the most part, the guests who go, you have a lot of accessibility to these guests, right? I mean, as particularly if you have a lot of money to spend, but it's kind of sort of like pay to play, right? Like, you want to do the autograph thing, you want to do the photo op thing, you want to do the panel thing. There's a lot of different ways to experience the guest here. Um, in contrast to, say, a WonderCon or a San Diego Comic-Con, where those cons get really huge guests also, but a lot of times the guests are only doing panels, right? Or maybe you have to win some sort of ticket lottery to get an autograph session, and they don't do like photo ops at all. Like with Fan Expo, there are a lot of different ways to meet or experience your favorite actor or filmmaker or etc., comic creator, you name it. And yeah, the guest list was incredible. Like, I mean, you named some really awesome names, Christian. Um, but like it cut across so many different fandoms, right? So it was one of those cons where like you're gonna find someone awesome that like you're into, because the guest list was so awesome, and like I said, it cut across so many different fandoms. What about you, Porfirio? Any initial thoughts on Fan Expo?
Yeah, like the same thing Christian called out, just the guest list. Like fucking Mark Hamill, like
Yeah,
he net like I'm sorry, but that's I feel like that's worth mentioning twice.
sure.
Like yeah, Mark Hamill hasn't done a con in like 7 years, and now here he comes, does one. What? How much was it that he was charging for an autograph? 500?
500. Yeah, 400 if you got like a little 8 by 10 picture of
Uh-huh.
him, and that was what you got signed. But if you wanted anything else, comic, like movie cover, whatever you wanted to bring in, it was 500.
Damn. And that's all within minutes, didn't it?
Yep. Right when it went online, just
Yeah.
So,
snap of the
so,
fingers,
Mm-hmm.
and they were all gone.
so people got money to spend. Comic nerds have
Yeah.
money to spend. But I mean like, even like going to his panel, like that was I mean, because Henry, you got a seats to get like an actual like reserved like guaranteed seating to
Mm-hmm.
go to the Mark Hamill panel, and those who like didn't pay for like a reserved seating had to like wait
Yeah.
and see if there was going to be like any seating available for them. So
Yeah. And
yeah,
they
definitely.
filled up that room too, so I'm sure there were some people who didn't get into the room.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like the guest list was really amazing. Like Henry, like you said, like there was just everything for so many fandoms. Dora the Explorer was there, TMNT,
Mm-hmm.
My Hero Academia voices, um, Star Wars Rebels voices, and an actor was there. Um, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, like it was
Yeah.
just all across the board.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what makes a good con, where like there's just it like one is like the level of celebrity guest you could bring, but like that there's just a little bit of everything for everyone, where it's not like
Yeah.
catered to like a specific fandom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I guess I should note too that Fan Expo is pretty new to the Bay Area. this year's convention was just the second one. But Fan Expo is like all over the country, and they do a bunch of conventions, and they've been doing them for quite a while. And it kind of shows that like this isn't their first rodeo, right? Because um, yeah, there were some aspects to the con I thought that were pretty well run. Like you mentioned the reserved seating. So we did go that route where I did purchase um, reserved seating for the Mark Hamill panel for the three of us, and that like guaranteed us a seat in the room. And on one hand, it's like, oh, we already paid a ticket to go to the con, and like they're like fleecing the attendees for more money. But I
Mhm.
kind of like the option because yes, you can not pay and then kind of roll the dice a bit, and maybe just line up like way earlier to try to get in. Or you can just, pay a little extra and you got a guaranteed seat. And there are different tiers. We had the silver ticket. There's also a gold ticket, which costs a little bit more, but you get to go in earlier. And I just appreciate the different options. Like, okay, I'm not forking out all this money for an autograph, but I'll pay a little something to guarantee a seat on that panel. And that goes for like a lot of different things that happened that weekend. There were like different experiences, like add-ons, right? Um, and I just thought it was cool. It really was in the spirit of having something for everyone. If you didn't want to pay the extra money for reserve seating, didn't have to do it. And they did that for Mark Hamill. They did that for Ewan McGregor. They did that for the Hobbits. Um, so I definitely appreciated that. And like just along the lines of like having like things for a lot of different fandoms, it just catered to a lot of different attendees, a lot of inclusivity. And yeah, that was cool. And it just showed that they kind of knew what they were doing. They knew how to organize the convention. And yeah, I'm down, man. I'm down to attend this convention for years to come, for sure.
I don't know, Henry. I kind of do have a little bit of mixed feelings about paying extra, but 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 it's unique. It's a unique experience. I'll just say that.
Mhm.
I'll leave it
Yeah.
at that.
Yeah.
Like,
So, oh yeah, go ahead, Christian.
like as far as like the paying extra, I guess it for like say like specifically seats for a panel. It's definitely something. Yeah, I'd say like on one hand, it's like, well, it should be, it should be part of your admission price is that you have seating. But I can imagine these get these panels were so massive
Yeah.
Yeah.
that um you wanted that extra assurance that
Yeah.
you were gonna have a seat at this panel, especially if you like really really wanted to see
Yeah.
And
this actor,
yeah, it's
well
kind of like what
specifically Mark Hamill.
yeah, it's kind of like what Henry said. Like, Fan Expo, like there's not this is not their first rodeo,
Yeah.
Mhm,
and they knew what they were doing. Obviously, and with a big name like Mark Hamill, like they're a little bit like money grabbing here, taking advantage of
hmm
that.
Yeah.
But it's so
yeah,
hard to justify with because it's Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
especially if you
Yeah.
wanted that front row seat, you really wanted to
Exactly.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Yeah.
wave to him, get a really good picture.
Hmm.
It wasn't just a free for all. I will say letting everyone into the panels was pretty organized. We ended up waiting for
hmm
quite a bit. We didn't get the paid for the four hobbits. There were definitely still like seats left over,
hmm
like empty seats in that one.
Yeah.
We got
But
good seats.
we
I
got
would say
pretty
we
good
got
seats.
I think so.
yeah,
Like Mark Hamill was definitely a lot more packed.
yeah,
But I think just the oh well I get to sit front and center might
yeah.
even in itself might be enough for some people.
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
pay the extra because there were, I think, like 2 levels, right, of it. There was like
Yeah.
gold, silver, and then general
Yeah.
Yeah,
admission.
that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a little bit more on that. I think it shouldn't have to be that way. Like it should be like, okay, pay for your badge and then you have free reign. Um, but the reality of it is sometimes the panels get super crowded. And I've been to panels at San Diego Comic-Con where I've gotten shut out because there's just too many people, and it
Hmm.
is hard to predict like what panels are going to be super popular and which ones aren't. um
Hmm.
so to have like a guarantee is kind of nice where I can be like, oh, okay, I definitely want to go to this. And I don't know, maybe you're not able to get to the convention super early to line up. You're counting on that guaranteed seat. So I think it's just kind of a nice option. Um, yeah, it is a bit of a cash grab, I suppose. But I think it's cool that
Hmm.
there are different options.
Especially
It,
and like on that wait thing, like, we waited in the line for the Hobbits for like I think at least an hour
It was about an
too.
hour, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, about an hour, and we were pretty good on seats, but like there were a lot of people lining up behind us.
Yeah.
yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
people. And so I can imagine like, another thing is like, well, I'd rather pay the money instead of pay the time.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a
Right.
bit of give
Yeah.
and take where it's like I
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
decent seats, but I really don't want to spend an hour plus in line. I can afford it, so I'll just pay for it. Or I really want to do this one, so I'll pay for this one, but I don't care as much for this one. I'll take some time.
Hmm.
But there were definitely some people like that may have been waiting like 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, hanging out and if you want to do that, good for you.
Hmm. I
But
mean,
I can
yeah,
also
like,
imagine for some people it's like, well, I don't have to I want to do this other panel. I want to do other
yeah.
thing. I want to walk the floor some more.
Uh, I mean, like, yeah, I've heard, like, I think, Henry, you shared, like, horror stories of San Diego Comic Con, people just, like, camping out at, like, to go to, like, the Marvel Studios panels.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so it's just a double-edged sword, I guess,
Hmm.
Yeah.
maybe because I haven't seen or experienced that, like, level of, like, a San Diego Comic Con big high profile panel, but that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, with the big guests, you get the big crowds. So I guess maybe we should talk about that a little bit. With such a tremendous guest list, how were the crowds at Fan Expo San Francisco 2023? How did you guys feel about how crowded it was that weekend
It felt
Like like overall
overall?
the
Yeah.
Fan Expo or panels.
Just overall.
Okay, go ahead, Christian.
I'd say like not too crowd. Like I thought it was at a good level where you could feel the crowd. It didn't feel empty, of course, but it didn't feel overcrowded. It didn't feel like you couldn't get around. It didn't, for the most part. Um,
Mhm.
I didn't feel like you couldn't see anything on the floor because there was just too many people going every which way. It didn't feel uncomfortable, I would say. Um, I think there were a good amount of people. Like I may have been like I could have seen a few more people there. Like, but I thought what we had was, it was good. Like especially when they all came together for these large panels. That's when I think you really kind of noticed how many people were at this convention.
Yeah. Yep.
Mhm.
Whereas overall, when everyone's kind of spread out, because the con was 3 floors too, it wasn't
Yeah.
all just one big 1 floor area. So
Hmm.
the crowd was kind of with the floor. You have your main floor on the bottom. You have Artist Alley on the second floor, and then on the third floor was the panel space.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Generally. There were some, I think the main theater was on the second floor, if I remember correctly. I don't,
Which one?
the kind of main theater where we saw Mark Hamill. I forget if that was on two or
No,
three.
Markham, the meat theater was on the third floor.
Okay, all right. So
Yeah.
that was on the main floor. I think there was some panel space. Like, so generally it was pretty spread. So it was like pretty spread out, I thought,
Hmm.
to where
Hmm.
you never felt too big of a crowd in just one area.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I want to say two things, yeah, about I guess like yeah, the crowd and how it was structured. To answer your question, Henry, I don't think it was too crowded, like I read that like, like 3,500 or 35,000 people
Hmm.
attended across the 3 days. Um, it didn't feel like that. I think just because like of how everything was like structured, it was spaced out. Like Christian said, it was 3 floors. So, like people like, they want to go check out the main floor and then maybe go check out the artist floor or go wait in line to go get like a celebrity signing on the third floor, or attend one of the panels on the third or second floor. Like I felt like it was pretty good at being spaced out. Um, but from my understanding, and Henry, I'm pretty sure you like feel free to like chime in,
Hmm.
but the second floor to in the first year was the video game floor, right?
I mean, not the whole floor, but I believe the video game area was on the second floor. Yeah.
Yeah, and then this year, like it was just all artist alley, and the red carpet.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I spoke with Aton from Kip and Cal, and he didn't like that. He didn't like that it was like artist alley on one floor and then the main floor on, like the vendor floor and the bottom floor. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I see where he was coming from, and I kind of have to agree. Um, but yeah, I guess how it was structured, I have a little bit of like reservation, um, but it was like spaced out. You couldn't tell it was crowded at all, which I like.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good observation because I really did like the layout of the convention. It was stacked, right? Like you guys were saying,
Hmm.
there's the first, second, and third floor. So stuff was spread out and you never felt super crowded at any one time, except, yeah, maybe during the big panels on the third floor. Um, but for the most part, it felt pretty manageable crowd-wise. And yeah, and even though they spread it out, you weren't that far away from anything because it was stacked. Everything was like a pretty quick escalator ride away, wherever you were. So pretty good layout. Although, yeah, where they put stuff, I guess, was maybe a little questionable. Like you brought up the fact that Artist Alley was on the second floor, but the exhibit floor was on the first floor. So let's say you wanted to buy a comic book drawn by an artist in Artist Alley, you would have to go to the convention floor, buy the comic book there, and then go up to Artist Alley. I mean, there could be some kind of, weird situations like that, right?
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
I mean, whatever the layout, that you can't please everyone, right? There's always going to be like a weird situation here or there. I think under the circumstances, I think the the layout was generally pretty good. I will call this out though. I mentioned how there really wasn't any time I felt things were too crowded. There's one exception to that. That was when the convention opened on Friday. That was a bit of a
Mm.
disaster. There was a huge crowd out front and very little indication of what to do. As
Hmm.
it turned out, there were two main lines, one to get your badge and one to activate your badge. Um, yeah, it was not clear which was which. There was a lot of confusion and just like a lot more people out front than I was expecting, and it was pretty jarring and stressful. And on top of all that, it turns out you really did not need to go into that badge activation line because there was like a website where you could activate your badge. So if you had a smartphone, which pretty much everyone had, you could just do it without even lining up. So there was a lot of confusion and a lot of what I feel like was unnecessary confusion. So the very beginning of the con was a lot rougher than it should have been, I felt. It got
Yeah.
a lot better after that, I think, but I think it has to be noted that it was a bit of a cluster starting off.
Yeah. I felt bad for you guys. I had the press pass, so
You were good.
that was good. No,
Yeah.
but like, yeah, definitely going off what you said, like I saw so many people like when I went to go pick up my press pass, I was like across the I guess like floor where you had to go pick up your badge, from like roll call or whatever. And people were like hella pissed off because
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
they pick up their badge and then like the volunteers would just be like, okay, like have to kick them out, to go wait on the line outside for the convention to open,
Yeah.
and like, like we said in the beginning of the podcast, like it's San Francisco, it's cold, it's like late in the day, and people are frustrated and they're just like already just anxious to get in.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, there was a lot of anger that I saw that day.
Yeah.
A lot of anger and a lot of confusion.
Nerd rage. It's real.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Typically you see that kind of scene for like the Saturday morning of a con, right? Saturdays are
Mm,
usually the biggest days.
mm,
But I think there were combination of reasons. But Friday was a big day where like Mark Hamill had his panel Friday
mm,
night. That was a big factor for a lot of people showing up Friday. I think people were just not ready for that, and it was a bit of a mess. Put it that
yeah,
way. Yeah,
Hmm.
but I think for the most part, otherwise things were pretty much smooth sailing. Um, and yeah, we had a lot of fun. Are there any specific things we want to call out that we experienced?
Well, we all went to a maid cafe.
Yes,
that was unique.
it was very unique. Um, Maybe Christian, you want to describe what this was exactly?
Yeah, so they held a maid cafe. It was I think they seem to travel around. I think they're all from Florida and they go from con to con, putting on these maid cafes. So this one is definitely different from the maid cafe experience in Japan, which definitely because the maid cafe at the convention doesn't serve any food. Uh, and so they kind of have like you go in and they'll give you tea. They'll pour you tea or coffee or water as you wait. And then it was almost like a big game experience in a way
Hmm.
because they give you like you're sort of your tables. There's three tables, and we each had a team with a team name, and we played like little games where it was like we it was like a charades type game that we did.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the day, but where we have to describe something and then the maid has to guess what we're describing. Um, as well as a couple others, and the maids did a couple dances to like J-pop songs, and we got pictures at the end. So definitely like it's a cute little window into the maid cafe experience. Definitely changed a bit for the casual con going audience. And of course, so they didn't have to no food because they didn't provide a food license. But yeah, I enjoyed my time. I was definitely getting into it, doing the moe kyun as a way to season your
Yes.
drink and
Yes.
make it taste better.
Mm-hmm. We won
Um,
the game
oh
also.
yes, we won the game.
Yeah,
We
we
got
did
first
win.
place. We got some
We
Yes.
went.
stickers as our prize.
Yep.
We went from last place to being the winner.
Mhm,
Yeah, quite the comeback story.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I had a lot of fun at this. Um, I've never been, I had never been to a maid cafe before that weekend. So I was really curious and didn't disappoint. It was a lot of fun. It was definitely cutesy, wholesome, and yet kind of weird and bizarre fun. Hard to describe, but it's kind of one of those things. I think it's worth experiencing once in your lifetime. Um, yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
it was a good time.
Hard to describe is right.
Mhm.
Yes.
You just
Would
gotta be there to know.
Yeah.
what what do you guys think of our table people?
There's definitely one guy there who I think had been to quite a few of these. Seemed to know.
Maybe too many.
Right? Yeah, okay. Wait, did you guys get like a snarky kind of like yeah, like Henry said way too many attitude from him
A
or
bit, yeah.
Well,
The guy was
there
definitely
was. Well, I was just gonna say that there was a bit of one upping where he was almost bragging about how many he had been to and how
okay,
versed
yeah,
he
okay.
was in the
Uh-huh,
culture.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, maybe a bit too much. Um, it's funny too. There's a guy next to him who was very quiet, and he was like a little bit creepy in a different way. So like, I mean, these are our people, and it's all good. But that was part of the experience too. Like, I figured there'd be a couple guys of this type there, and sure enough, they were sitting right next to us, and there were some strange vibes coming from both of them.
Uh-huh.
But hey, part of the experience.
Mhm. The
Okay, cool.
otaku experience right here.
Yes.
Yeah. I just want to know. I just didn't want to, because I don't think we talked about it. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't the only one getting those kind of
Yeah.
vibes
Yeah. There
from
was
those from that
it's
guy.
yeah, a little bit of a spidey sense tingling there. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I say it's cutesy and wholesome fun, but it's a little weird also. Weird in a good way and weird in maybe not the best way also. But yeah, a little weird. A little weird. The fact that there was like a disclaimer, the maids had to tell us that um, there would be absolutely no touching of the maids, and they were very serious about that. It was a bit of a
Mm-hmm.
red flag, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they had rules that were like very specific, and they made it a point to be like serious about it, to make sure like, okay, we're not joking around, like these are for real. Bit of an eyebrow raiser, like, oh, what happened in the past, kind of thing. But again, all part of the experience, and yeah, a unique experience for sure.
Because you have creepy guys like the one at our table. That's
Yeah.
why.
Yeah.
No, I'm
You
just
said it, not me.
kidding. No, but it was a fun experience. I don't know, like if they were that most likely they'll come back next year. I don't know if I would do it again, but I would say like it's a experience that they feel like everybody should do at least
Mm.
once.
Yeah. Yeah, I second that for sure.
Hmm. Yeah, the maids were great.
Yes,
Yeah.
They were they were good hosts, and so the experience was a lot of fun.
Mhm.
for sure, for sure.
Another event I want to call out at Fan Expo that Henry did is the red carpet walk.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was pretty popular
do,
too.
do you
There's a
want to talk about that, Henry?
Yeah, definitely. So when I heard about this, instantly it sounded like a good idea. Because I've been to many comic conventions in my day, and not many have a centrally located cosplay area. The big one that comes to mind is WonderCon. At WonderCon at the Anaheim Convention Center, if you've been, there's this beautiful fountain area right in front, and they don't have to have signs that say cosplay photos here or cosplay experiences here. You just know, right? It is the place, it's the gathering place, right? As you're going in, you see cosplayers at certain points of the day, every day of the convention. There are cosplay meetups. It's just like the spot, right? And I really can't think of any other convention that has like that type of thing going where it's a centrally located uh,
Hmm.
location. Um, with Fan Expo, they've done something pretty smart. Like wherever the expo is happening, they have a built-in cosplay meetup area. They call it the cosplay red carpet, and it is literally a red carpet. They have a DJ there. They have professional photographers there, and they've kind of like um, manually created this communal cosplay area, and it was kind of everything that I was expecting. That became like the cosplay place to be. So at any point in the convention you wanted to see cosplayers, you would go there. That was a spot. And
Yeah.
even more so during scheduled meetups, they would have like a Marvel cosplay meetup. They would have like an anime meetup. They would have like a gaming costume meetup. Um, it was just the spot to be, and it was pretty well run, and yeah, I completely advocate uh conventions doing that sort of thing, because um it it kind of took away from that thing where like you go to a con and then everyone's talking about, oh, did you see like this certain cosplayer, and you might have been like, oh, I didn't see that one, I missed out, but with a centrally located thing like this, like it makes it a lot easier to catch like all the best costumes and everything, because that is
Hmm.
the spot. Right? So yeah, very cool indeed.
And Henry walked down that red carpet
I
a few
did.
times.
I did.
Like
So yeah.
Henry was totally feeling himself, folks. He was totally living in the moment.
Yeah, so why don't we talk about that a bit? We cosplayed a lot for this convention, right? The three of us all did cosplays, took a lot of photos, and we did multiple costumes, outfit changes, whatever, you know.
Hmm.
So yeah, I did something kind of bold. I did my first ever cross play on Friday and Saturday. I dressed as Black Widow, and yeah, man, I definitely went all out. I got the full wig, the padded bra, the butt inserts, like the whole deal. Multiple weapons. and it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I did the
The
cosplay red
makeup.
carpet.
You did the
The makeup,
makeup.
yeah, I did makeup too. And yeah, eye makeup and foundation, lipstick. Yeah, definitely
You went
went
you
all out.
you went the whole 9 yards, man.
I did, yeah.
Hmm.
Definitely that was an experience in itself.
Yeah.
Definitely. Um
Henry
yeah.
pulled it off. Congrats.
Oh, thank you. Then let's see. Oh, I guess I should note I did attend the Maid Cafe with you guys in my full Black Widow crossplay. So
Hmm.
it made for a pretty fun photo where I was amongst the maids as well as Christian in my crossplay. So
Hmm.
lots of fun for sure. And then Sunday I went as the Winter Soldier. So that was a lot of fun too. I got a new shield to go with that costume. It's a costume I'd worn before, but I got some new props for it. I got a new shield. It's kind of a new unique shield. It's a Captain America shield, but it's like of the Winter Soldier's colors, right? It's a black and silver shield, and that went pretty well. And I got a couple of pistols that I actually used for my Black Widow costume, but then I also used for my Winter Soldier costume. So yeah, a lot of cosplaying and a lot of fun cosplaying for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you were there like me, Christian, were there for Henry that weekend, you could see that Henry developed a new kind of obsession with weapons props. You
Something
Yeah.
is
know,
awakened within him.
Yeah.
yeah, something got awakened. Like,
Okay, a little bit on that. So here's the thing. I've always thought that like an exhibit floor would be a great place to sell cosplay stuff. Full on costumes, certainly props, etc. So historically, I found that, yeah, certainly there are cosplay vendors, um, but I've never felt like there's been enough of that. And certainly, I haven't purchased a lot of cosplay stuff at conventions. I don't think I'm alone when I say cosplay purchases I've done are mainly online through the internet. Yeah. Um,
mhm,
so that kind of changed with Fan Expo because they had a lot of cosplay props there, a lot of fake weapons. Yeah. Um, and yeah, I was in my Black Widow costume and I came across a booth that had some fucking awesome guns. And I'm like, I gotta have these guns because they are dope. So um I bought not one but two pistols from this vendor, and I, got to live out my like John Woo double pistol action fantasies. And I'm telling you, after I got those pistols, I thought these are awesome. And I instantly like just added them to my costume, took pictures with them and everything. Um, and like you guys are saying, I kind of got the bug for like weapons because like not only did I incorporate these guns into my Black Widow costume, but then I was thinking, oh well, I'm doing Winter Soldier on Sunday. I'll add guns to that costume too. And then I just like my mind just went wild where like I was like, I just want more guns. I need more guns. I must have more guns now. So that's where my head's at right now. And I completely um am against real life gun violence. But when it comes to costume props and fake guns, I'm all about it. So right now,
Christian.
yeah, right now my dream is like to have a closet where I open it up and it's like John Wick style, tons of guns, tons of ammo, tons of weapons. That's where I'm at right
Yeah.
now.
What do I
Oh my
want for the
gosh.
cosplay? Do I want the M4 or do I want the shotgun or
Right. Do I
maybe
need
I'll go for the pistol for this.
explosives? Yeah. Do I
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
heavy artillery? What are we talking here?
Gotta get my foam bazooka.
Yeah, that might be next.
Yeah. So, one thing we had talked about earlier was the celebrities that were there at Fan Expo. And I think the only one to get celebrity signings was Christian. Right, Christian?
Yeah, I got a few
Yeah. Who'd you
celebrity
get?
signings. Let's see. So the two big ones, I think I only got two. I was planning on getting some more, but I didn't go through with that. I wanted to get the Hobbits, but I realized kind of that I would have to get into each individual line after getting in a line previous to get it, in order to get a signing where you did all four. So I didn't go through with that.
Hmm.
But I did get the voice of Solid Snake, David Hayter, uh, which who was great. Because he did a bunch of lines from Metal Gear. You could get a voice recording, which is the first time I've ever seen a celebrity actually record, like do a voice line into your phone that you could say like,
Mm.
"Hey there," like. So he was really into doing the voice. After after every time he signed or did the picture, he'd look at you, he'd point at you and go, "You're pretty good." In that snake voice, which is a line from the video
Yeah.
game, which gives you chills. You're like, "Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh, he said the line."
Mhm.
One of my actually, I'd say like one of my top favorite moments of con going in general happened right around the booth. Because it was like this like candid moment. So, uh, the guy who played the villain for Metal Gear Solid was also there, Cam Clark. He's there. He's part of the Ninja Turtles. So he was there kind of for different
Mhm.
reasons, but he plays the bad guy in Metal Gear Solid, Liquid Snake. So David Hayter is signing some stuff. Like this is kind of later in the day. I was just kind of walking by, and as I was walking by, David Hayter just looks up and just shouts, "Liquid!" Uh, and then you just see Cam Clark like look back at him and just yell, "Snake!" and then just keep walking.
Yes.
Almost like pretty much like saying the lines as they were in like the game.
Mm.
Mhm.
And so just seeing this like pretty much like candid moment like that, it didn't click with me initially, but I'm like, wait, oh my God, dude, that's
That,
amazing.
that's so cool.
That was, yeah. So that was definitely like one of my favorite moments of the con right there. Um, so I got his signature. I got him to sign my cover of Metal Gear Solid 3. Um, and the other person I got to sign was Monica Rial, anime voice actress who did a lot of dubs. She's done like a whole plethora of anime dub voice acting. She was there with the My Hero Academia crew, who were because she voices Froppy, and
Mhm.
she was also Bulma in Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball I think just Dragon Ball Super, and when they redubbed Dragon Ball Z.
Mhm.
So I had her sign the cover of my Dragon Ball Z manga, also signed by Sean Schemmel, who plays Goku. And she was also great too. She real chatty, struck up a little conversation. I was also in cosplay. I was Maze Hughes from Full Metal Alchemist, who she was also in. Um, she
Mm.
played a couple characters in that, and she was talking. She was because I was the only like person dressed up from that series there. She was like, "Oh yeah, I haven't really seen a Full Metal Alchemist cosplay in a while. I used to see him a lot, like 10-ish years ago, but now not so
Mhm.
much." And so we were just talking about cosplay for a minute.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, well, she signed
Yeah.
my book and all that. So yeah, definitely glad I got those signed. There were also a couple other voice actors who I wish I got signed because the voice actor who played one of the villains in Dragon Ball Z was also there, but I didn't realize that until I think I saw a panel with him later. He played Damien Clark, who was Cell. And
Mm.
I'm like, oh, I should have got him signed. Oh, I didn't realize Cam Clark was here. I should have got him to sign.
Yeah.
Oh man, that would have been cool to get Solid and Liquid. Oh man. So another point to the voice cast is that there's people that I didn't realize were there that I really would have loved to come see because the guest list was just so stacked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a couple big ones I missed.
Mhm.
Hmm. Yeah, that's
Dude.
worth mentioning. The big headline guests were Star Wars live action actors, but I think besides Star Wars live action, the biggest um, presence in terms of guests it was animation voice actors. Like the voice actor presence was like incredible. Like I could not believe it.
Mhm.
Like it was just yeah, it was phenomenal, phenomenal. Okay, you had something, Porfirio?
And I was gonna say, like, like Christian talked about his cosplay, and it was a hot, like, everyone was loving it. Like, everyone was
Yeah.
like trying to take pictures with Christian's cosplay. And I think what really blew it was when like Christian like pulled out the wallet, of like your your pictures of your daughter, and I think that's when everyone was like, "Oh my God, he's got the pictures," and so your cosplay was like really like hot, you know.
It does seem to be a fan favorite. Like
Yeah.
people, it's really the wallet that I think makes it because that's what he does in the anime. He pulls out the pictures and forces the other characters to, you know, to look at pictures, at cute pictures of his daughter. So, um, yeah, people got really into that whenever I do that.
Hmm.
Yeah. Awesome costume, Christian. Now you had that one costume. I had two. Porfirio had us both beat. You had three costumes. Why don't you tell us what you did?
Yeah, so the first day I did Spider-Man. Like I said, I got the press pass and I just wanted to have fun of it. I honestly was not gonna cosplay the first day. Um, just because, it was only gonna be half a day, and like I said, it's cold in San Francisco. So, but I decided to have fun, and I was like, you know what? This is the multiverse. Let me cosplay as a Peter Parker as a journalist. So I just pulled like it was. I don't remember where you were. Oh no, Henry. Yeah, you were greeting guests on the first floor.
Hmm.
But yeah, me and Christian, we went to the second floor, and I was like asking Christian, can you take pictures of me like doing my in my Spider-Man outfit, in my KOW work shirt? And it was just super funny because like we did it right there by the elevators where we took pictures, and I wore my Spider-Man suit underneath my clothes. So legit like true Spider-Man fashion. I was right there next to the elevators. And then as I was getting ready with my costume, I just like stripped off all my clothes. Like I didn't go to the restroom or anything. I just stripped off all my clothes right there, and I just was like leaning against some kind of like railing and asking Christian to take pictures. And I don't know how the hell like Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, or even Tobey Maguire, I don't know how they could like kneel and squat for so many hours, but like me just trying to squat up against that railing, I had like the hardest time. I was like, Christian, I'm like, this is what I'm gonna do is to try to take this picture and quick because I don't know how long I could hold this pose. And Christian did a really good job at like capturing like my squat pose with my recorder. Like I shared it on my like workspace um on Slack, and like so many of my coworkers thought that like it was taken from like high above, like
Oh,
an
nice.
actual, like I was actually like hanging on from like a high railing. And I was like, no, that was probably like a foot off the ground.
That's great.
Uh-huh.
No, you climbed up it with your spider powers on the side of a
Yeah.
building.
Uh-huh. So that was my first day. The second day, because it was the hobbits were all there for the panel. So I did Frodo, and that one was more fun. It was definitely more easier. And we went to all three of us went to the Winter Gardens across the street just because they had like a park, like natural scenic like environment.
Hmm.
Uh, I took we took pictures of like just me sitting around the trees and to make it look like the Shire. But oh my gosh, Christian took an amazing photo of me, just like kind of like standing in front of the waterfall, just kind of like looking out into like the sunset, and it just looks epic as fuck. Like as if I'm going as part of this, like I'm actually part of the fellowship going on this like long journey towards Mordor to get rid of the ring. Like it's
Yes.
an epic as fuck looking photo. So thanks, Christian.
You're welcome. And thank
Yeah,
Yerba Gardens for
Yes.
yeah,
having such great photo locations.
Hmm.
they did, yeah. And then the third day, I've done Harley Quinn so many times. I did like Harley Quinn like 3 times this past year for Halloween, but I've never done Poison Ivy. And so I decided like change it up, do Poison Ivy, and it just so happens that the cover artist for DC's current Poison Ivy series, who we've interviewed before for KOW, she was there. And so I met up with her. I showed her my Poison Ivy outfit, which was legit just like a green sequin tank top with like a um green jacket and like leaves taped onto the sleeves, a little bit of makeup, and like red nails that I had tried so hard to glue on. Even Henry helped me glue them on before the event, and they took forever, and they were just falling apart during the con. But I went to go, yeah, like she was like the first day I wanted to like go meet because yeah, my costume was just falling apart. I'll do better next time with Poison Ivy. But I got to take a picture of her. She loved it, and it was super awesome. So I think that was a good like compliment from the cover artist of Poison Ivy.
Oh, for sure.
Nice.
That's great. Love to hear it. Yeah. Yeah, we went in hard with the cosplaying for this convention. I guess I should note, uh, I weren't I wasn't particularly big on the cosplay because I was doing a lot for the cosplay group I'm in, the West Coast Avengers. So a little shout out to the West Coast Avengers, great cosplay organization. Um, so I did kind of a little bit of everything for the group. Porfirio mentioned I did a little bit of greeter duty when the convention opened on Friday. I um, I manned their table in the community area on the convention floor on Sunday, and I was a panelist on both of the panels that they had. at Fan Expo.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
I was
Um,
there. I
yeah,
met a
yeah.
celebrity. I met a celebrity on the panel.
There you go. Yeah, Saturday and Sunday we had panels, and yeah, man, great experiences. Yeah, now I can say I've been a panelist at a Fan Expo. How cool is that, right? So basically it was both panels uh were just discussions on cosplay and a lot of what the West Coast Avengers group does, which is a lot of volunteer work. So yeah, um, yet another cool, like unique experience that I had. And I feel like we had just a lot of cool, unique experiences all weekend long. Yeah, safe to say.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I really want to like quickly shout out like just because yeah like West Coast Avengers I feel like it's like really well known within like the cosplay community, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like if we go to cons like whether it be in Fan Expo, WonderCon, San Diego Comic Con, like I feel like you kind of see like the same like groups of folks, you know,
Yeah.
like it's just these like spaces are their own kind of communities, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and there were definitely folks that I had seen from previous cons and like folks that I have seen like their online presence. Like I really want to just give like a quick shout out to like, Alyssa Wong, who we've interviewed for about Disney Bounty, who was tabled right next to you for the Asian Art Museum.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Jessica Wong, the cover artist I had mentioned earlier for Poison Ivy, and this like, and then like this like amazing Disney cosplayer. His name is Logan. I love his fashion and everything. So to see him in real life was also like I had a fangirl moment. But um, yeah, like yeah, I think we had talked about this, but like cons, there's just like we come within like our own community where everybody knows each other and like everybody is chill with each other and super nice and I really kind of just like loved that kind of like warm feeling, that we were able to experience, you know.
Well said.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely second that. The three of us, we've been going to cons together a lot, and it seems like each time we kind of go a little bit further down the rabbit hole, and things get a little bit more familiar, and the people we see and we talk to become a little bit more part of us. It's just like it's like you know, deepening the connection of this great community, right? And I just love what you had to say there, Porfirio. I definitely like felt the same way. I felt like, okay, we're really, that sense of belonging is really kicking in now. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, definitely.
hmm hmm
Yeah. Okay, so we kind of glossed over. I feel like we should talk more about the Mark Hamill panel because it was fucking awesome. Yeah. So again, it was the first night of the con. It had a pretty late start time to begin with. It was like an 8 p.m. panel. Add to it that it started late. And I guess the reason was Mark Hamill was like literally doing photos and signing autographs like beyond like his scheduled time. He was like putting in the work, right? Being there for his fans. So the panel started late because of that. I want to say maybe like 8:30 or so. And then in addition to that, he like talked on and on and on and went way past like his allotted time. Yeah, like I think he was supposed to do a panel for an hour and it ended up being closer to an hour and a half. So I mean, imagine the scene. There's just this packed room with Star Wars diehards and other fandoms, um, and just late into the night, just listening to this man speak. And
Mhm.
it was like one of the best discussion panels I've ever been to. It was so great, and it really was just Mark Hamill telling stories. Yeah, there was no moderator; it was just him, and he was just like bringing us into his world and just telling us all kinds of amazing stories.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hmm. I think like my favorite story that you talked about was about it was about Star Wars. It's about his audition for Luke Skywalker. And it was cool to
Mhm.
see the inside of that, especially for something that beloved, but also like what a glimpse of what he kind of thought it was going into it and how no one really knew kind of what it was or what it would become. And so he's at his audition, he's for Luke Skywalker, and he's in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon for the scene. Han Solo is there, and he gets like a little snippet of the script to say for his audition. And he has no idea who Luke Skywalker is or who he's supposed to be. He wasn't sure if this was going to be a parody. He mentioned, oh, this is a parody, like a Mel Brooks movie or like of something like Flash Gordon, or if this was going to be a serious thing. And he said that George Lucas, it was super quiet in the director's chair. He kind of just mumbled, cut. And he wasn't, George Lucas didn't really give a lot of direction to how who he wanted Luke Skywalker to be and like kind of what he was going for. So he's like waiting there and he Harrison Ford's there doing Han Solo. So he leans over to Harrison Ford and he's like, "So what kind of movie is this? Like, is this supposed to be serious or is this like a comedy thing? I really have no idea." And Harrison Ford's like, "I don't know, kid, just do what you want." In that very kind of like nonchalant Harrison Ford way. Mark Hamill did a really funny impression of him. And so he's like, I don't know. So he kind of went serious. He thought when in doubt, just go for the serious angle. And he initially thought that uh, Harrison Ford was gonna be the lead. It was gonna be a movie about Han Solo and his plucky sidekick,
Mhm.
Luke Skywalker. So he said he was like shocked when he started really going through the script and seeing that he was the main character. So it's funny to see, like it sounds funny now, but at the time, like it was something complete. Star Wars was something completely different, as just this idea without it being this massive franchise. What it kind of looked like getting to that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely thought of that story as being the main highlight of an amazing panel, right? Like Mark Hamill is a great storyteller. Like the whole panel, he was telling great stories, and he just has a way of like painting a picture. And add to that the weight of this story, right? We're talking about history in the making, right? His audition for Star Wars, that alone is like is something like okay, very interesting, right? So add to it that he's telling it in a great way. He's doing great storytelling, but on top of all of that, he is hilarious. He is like a gifted comedian. You mentioned the Harrison Ford impersonation. He does a great George Lucas impersonation, and the audience was just like howling in laughter the whole time. And like, how amazing is it that it went down like this? Like he's trying to figure out like who this character is, and the director is right there and Lucas is giving him nothing, right? He's getting no help at all. Harrison Ford, his co-star in the scene, is giving him nothing. And he's basically having to wing it. He's like, he was describing it like, okay, do I play this as parody, like you're saying, Christian? Like, is this kind of a joke? Is it campy? Do I play it big, like kind of like a Shakespeare kind of thing, play it big? But then he just, I mean, maybe it was like divine intervention, but he was like, okay, I'm just gonna play it like sincere. And that's exactly what it needed to be, right? That's what got him the role. So it's just a phenomenal story, and I'm telling you, the whole panel was full of great stories like that. And it wasn't just Star Wars. You know, he talks about his time as a voice actor playing the Joker, and just like all kinds of great stuff. And it was just such a great panel.
Yeah. And well, for me, one of his the stories that I enjoyed from the panel, I feel like it was early on, was his Joker audition. You know,
Yeah.
how he just said like how he did not think he was gonna get it, you know, and it was like, oh, what chances do I have, you know, playing the Joker, you know, this legendary Batman villain? And so he didn't like gave like he didn't know what he like little prep to do for the role. And then he just gave like this like random kind of voice. And then and then that ended up being like the take to be like they gave him the role, and then he was like, "What? Like,
Yeah.
wait, what?" Like, oh God, like that man, Mark Hamill, he just like Henry, like you said, he just knows how to tell a story,
Yeah.
and just being a voice actor, he is just so good at saying it in so many voices, so it's not like all monotone, you know,
Yeah.
and you don't get turned off by like um his conversations, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just super fun hearing
Yeah.
everything he had to say.
Yeah. Oh, what comes to mind for me also is he had some pretty cool perspectives on fandom. Yeah. So like um he had some great stories about people he met that he was huge was a huge fan of, right? He mentioned meeting Groucho Marx and George Harrison. Yeah. And so it kind of, it was fascinating because people look at him the way he looked at them, right? So like it it's hard to imagine like an icon like Mark Hamill really like fanboying out over anything, right? But he definitely had those moments with these two particular people, and he had these great stories about when he got to meet them, and you just really got a sense that, oh, this guy, he's kind of like us, you know, in that way, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, it just it was kind of cool because it brought this sort of universality to fandom, right? You know, it doesn't matter who you are, you can be a fan of something in a pretty extreme way, even this guy, right? So pretty fascinating, and there's just a lot of layers to the discussion. Okay, so we're running a little long here. Maybe we should start getting to wrapping up. But yeah, any final thoughts about Fan Expo?
Anyone have any negatives of Fan Expo?
Well, we talked about the line. I will say some
Hmm.
of the times the scheduling was a little strange. Like I think for a lot of it was pretty well organized. It was easy to see for the big stars, Mark Hamill, Ewan McGregor. You were
Hmm.
able to get like specific times that they were there or not there, that you can get something signed. But it was hard to really see anytime you can get a signature from like a voice actor, um,
Hmm. Hmm.
uh, or like if they'd be there for 2 days or one day, it would just kind of say Saturday and that's it. And then
Yeah,
I did see, like for David Hayter, I didn't get a real time. I just kind of heard from around, and we're almost late because I was like, I don't know if I can get this signed,
yeah,
or if I get out of line now, can I come back later? I don't know. And so there was some disorganization with that. I kind of wish it was a little clearer on when certain voice actors were going to be at their booth or not. Of course, that's probably there were a lot of people there, and it might be hard to plan, but I think more general, even if it was just general timings, would have been helpful.
yeah.
Hmm.
So I would say that's
Henry.
definitely a complaint right there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, for me, it really just was the one thing I already mentioned, the big cluster at the beginning of the convention on Friday. Otherwise, I think things went well, had a lot of fun, and a great con experience. Now, um, leading up to what I think you might mention as a negative, Porfirio, the timing of this convention is a little odd. Black Friday, right after Thanksgiving.
Hmm.
I think we had some discussions about this that weekend, but the consensus for me and Christian was that it's a pretty excellent time frame because for locals like us, we're usually not doing a whole lot that weekend. Thursday is Thanksgiving and, family get togethers and whatnot. But Friday, Saturday, Sunday, not so much. It's kind of perfect. But you, Porfirio, were coming in from out of town, and I can certainly see where there could be some drawbacks there. So, what are your thoughts about this convention being on Black Friday weekend?
Yeah, I just don't like it. Like,
No.
like, yeah, I mean, like, okay, like, not gonna lie, just me going out, it happens right after Thanksgiving. Like, I remember, like, prior to going to this event, like, my parents were like, oh, like, you don't want to spend time with the family that weekend or that, because, I would have to leave, like, wherever I'm from to go to the event, like, the day of Friday, like Black Friday in the morning, because if I tried leaving the day anytime beforehand, it was like I was leaving prior to Thanksgiving. So there was like this like conflict of like, oh, I don't want to spend time with family when it's like the messages are getting like mixed up. And so that's like one aspect that like this like message gets confused that it's not that I don't want to spend time with the family. I just kind of want to avoid the Thanksgiving traffic, that comes from all the traveling that folks are doing from all around. Um, so yeah, that was definitely a negative for me, you
Hmm.
know. Um, and then again, like we had said, like just the weather. It's that time of year in San Francisco where it's fucking cold. It's like you could see your breath when you breathe. And
Yeah.
so you have to be very like um well prepared with what kind of cosplays you want to wear,
Hmm.
like and like you have to wear something comfortable or you have to bring extra clothes that you have to just like carry around with you throughout the day, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess those were, I guess, like my biggest complaints. Yeah.
Yeah, I do understand things being a little odd for out of towners. Like the time frame is just a little wacky. The weather thing though, I thought about this a little bit. Like it did feel a little strange to be at a convention during cold weather. Yeah, I just don't associate that so much, right? Um, WonderCon is Anaheim in the spring. San Diego Comic-Con is San Diego in July. Like it's like warm weather vibes, right? California sunshine.
Yes,
But this,
exactly.
yeah, right. But this was not that. So yeah, sure. At first it felt like it feels different. But then like I think it's just different. I don't think it's really worse. In fact, like for cosplaying, it's kind of a plus, I think, because like just comparing, like I wore the same Winter Soldier suit to San Diego Comic-Con. And I remember when I took it off, I was just like sweating like crazy, right? I was just like tearing it off. And like, it's like I had a workout, right? But then for Fan Expo more recently, like I didn't really sweat. It was so cold, right? So comparatively, I was more comfortable. So I mean, I think you were kind of alluding to it, but you kind of have to adjust, and it's just different. I think it's different. The weather brings about kind of a different vibe, and for cosplaying, you have to adjust a bit. Maybe you have to pack a jacket or a scarf, etc. But yeah, for that, I think it's just a little different. It's not necessarily worse.
Hmm.
Very San Francisco. Talk
Yeah.
about SoCal and how it's all nice and sunny, and then San Francisco, cold fog.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Once that sun goes down,
Oh
woo,
yeah. Oh
watch
yeah,
out.
it's chilly.
Yes. But along those lines, talking about the Bay Area, yeah, my like final-ish thought on this is the big Comic-Con experience is back in the Bay Area, and it is sorely needed. We've had conversations about this. It's been up and down. WonderCon used to be in San Francisco. They left. It left a void for years, and then Silicon Valley Comic-Con came around. We all went, and that was the big thing for a while. It absolutely was the big Comic-Con experience in the Bay Area. But then that dwindled and eventually fizzled out. And again, a void. But now we're back. And hallelujah to that. Like this is a legit big convention. Um, with big conventions, there are pros as well as cons. We talked about the
Hmm.
crowding a little bit, but if you're looking for that big convention experience, the Bay Area has it. Once again, you don't have to leave the area. You don't have to go to New York City. You don't have to go to San Diego to get that, what you are looking for. Yeah. So that's it's exciting, and I hope this goes strong for years to come because I will be
Uh-huh.
there.
I just want to throw out one more question since we're talking about like the future of
Yeah.
Fan Expo.
Hmm.
It's no surprise, they already announced they're coming back next year, Thanksgiving weekend
Yep.
again.
You're like, damn it.
What do you guys want? What do you guys expect for next year? Good, like anything they got approve on, anything you're excited about, like
Hmm.
anything you guys want to point out about next year?
Um, let's see. As far as like things I'd want for next year, I guess the big thing is I hope that guest list next year is as good
Hmm.
or better than this one, because this one's a bit hard to top, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it brought a lot of people out. Like those were like some real big highlights. It was great to see. So I'd love to see something like that again.
Amen.
Okay.
Definitely.
Henry?
Yeah. I was just thinking, like, my one complaint was the big crowds on Friday. You could look at that in a positive way, right? That tells me they sold a lot of damn badges, right? So, that's great. They're going to be back. And the fact that they made a lot of money, clearly they made a lot of money because they sold badges. Those silver and gold tier tickets for the panels, I saw a lot of people doing that. The Maid Cafe, we paid extra for that. A lot of people went to that.
Hmm.
I saw a lot of money flying around. Those Mark Hamill autographs and photographs, like those sold like crazy, right?
Oh
So they
yeah.
made a lot of money on this, and um, that's a good thing, right? Because they will be back, and they know if they bring the big guns, guest wise, that they will make a lot of money again. So expectations, hell yeah, are big, right? Like if they can bring Mark Hamill to Fan Expo this year, man, who the hell is gonna be here next year, right? It just it just creates this buzz, this expectation. Yeah, very exciting. The possibilities are limitless. Yeah.
Hmm.
um Personally, you know me, I'm a huge Marvel fan. That's my number one fandom. And we talked about how the guest list here cut across a lot of different fandoms. Interestingly, not a whole lot of Marvel related guests. Notably,
No, no one cares about Marvel anymore.
ouch. Wow. We're going there already? Damn.
The biggest
Uh,
guest is, the DC guy, the Joker.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I guess notably Sean Gunn was a guest. But even there is unfortunate. He was there for photos and autographs, but I guess his voice went out, so he had to cancel his panel.
Yeah.
So yeah, there wasn't a big Marvel presence. I mean, I guess the Marvel presence was my cosplay group, the West Coast Avengers, right? We were the main Marvel presence in a way. But I would love to see like some MCU actors show up next year. That would be freaking awesome. So
Was
that's
was
my answer.
wasn't the voice of Miles from the video games there?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
and Venom.
there
Yeah,
you
and
go.
then
Yeah,
There you go.
there we
there you
go,
go.
Henry. There's your
Little
Marvel.
little something. I'm not saying there's nothing. I'm just saying it was, a little minimal. I mean, you look at the caliber of Star Wars guests, is like, wow, how about
There's
a
a
little.
lot of Star
Yeah, I
Wars.
know.
They went hard on Star Wars this
Yeah,
year.
He
totally.
did, yeah.
So how about,
It's like,
balancing that out?
mhm.
Give me some Marvel love too. That's all I'm asking. Yeah. How about you,
Chris
Porfirio?
Evans.
There you go. Yeah.
What do I expect next year?
Hmm.
Mm, I mean, this is just my biggest complaint, I guess, like across like um Mar or Comic Cons in general. It's just the food, better food options, and not to be expensive. You know,
Yeah.
food trucks like how WonderCon has. But nah, yeah, I mean, in terms of Fan Expo, um, I don't know. It's hard to say because everything I feel like was pretty smooth.
Hmm.
Everything that I feel like I complain is just kind of like out of their control. Um, but I don't know. I had a good time, and I'm looking forward to next year. Yeah.
I'll be
Same,
happy with
same.
more of the same
Yeah, bring it
next
Yeah.
year.
on.
If it's
Let's
just more of the
go.
same next year,
Let's
maybe
go.
More
a
of the
little
same.
better
Yeah.
organized, I think we'll be very
Mm-hmm.
happy.
Yeah.
And just a quick follow-up about the food. It should be noted that, okay, the convention center food was like crazy expensive and nothing to write home about.
Five
Uh
dollars for a banana.
I mean, it's just like craziness, right? That all said, the Fan Expo is held at the Moscone Center, which is across the street from the Metreon and Yerba Buena. And there are a lot of restaurants there, right? So we had several meals over there. And yeah, it's not a situation where you're stuck with the convention center food. Yeah, it would be nice if the convention center food was less expensive slash better. And it would be nice if they had something cool like what you mentioned they have at WonderCon, where they have food trucks like right in front of the convention center. But the fact that you just need to cross the street and you have a lot of good restaurant options, um, that was pretty cool. Yeah, location wise, it's fantastic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or just bring your food. They weren't checking bags.
Oh yeah, they weren't checking much of anything. Maybe we should talk
No.
about this a little bit because um along the lines of what we're talking about, where there's like some crowding going on that they weren't really ready for. Yeah, I think just the resource wise, they were a little lacking. Like they didn't have enough staff or something. Because there was very little like regulation on much
Mm-hmm.
of anything. Yeah, they
Right.
weren't checking
Right.
for outside food. They I don't think they were doing cosplay checks. Yeah, we saw a table that said cosplay checks, but there was no one there and there was no line
Mm-mm.
there. And
Mm-mm.
I had all these weapons. I'm talking about all these guns and stuff. I didn't check any of that stuff. So I on one hand it was kind of nice just having free reign, but I guess a little scary because like people could have been like bringing in real weapons and stuff.
Dangerous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
a little scary in that respect, I suppose. So I maybe that's another takeaway, like for next year, hopefully they're a little better prepared for the crowds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I think for the most part, we're in agreement that it went well and we had a great time.
Can't wait for the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. Indeed. And with that, we can wrap up the episode. This is farewell from Henry, Porfirio, and Christian.